Hello everyone, my name is Tony Bryant, and I was recently asked from one of my Instagram followers about a very controversial subject. They asked me if I could make a video, so here it is. And that subject is how life could have come from the Big Bang. Yes, this subject has been much subject for debate and just discussion on how life could have come from the Big Bang. Now, let me get out of the way. I am not here to discuss or dispute religion in any way. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. So, as we can see here, we can see a pretty bad example of the Big Bang. It wasn't really an explosion, as most people seem to think it was. It was more of a stretching of space in all directions. Now, this stretching of space created particles known as leptons, quarks, and gauge bosons. Quarks like the up-down charm, quarks, leptons like electrons, and neutrinos, muons, stuff like that, as well as gauge bosons like gluons and Higgs bosons, which is thought to contribute to mass. These began to appear, and these are what create atoms, and those atoms are what, of course, make up the elements that we see. Where do these elements come from, and what is their purpose? Why are they here? Well, so this photo here, this periodic table, shows you how and where, well, not how, but where these elements come from. Big Bang, cosmic rays, large stars, small stars, supernovae, and man-made like California. Who came up with this? Well, George Lemaitre is the one that came up with the Big Bang. He said, imagine it as an egg hatching. And this egg is just a few millimeters across, probably about the same size as a large piece of sand. And it stretched in all directions, which caused gases and elements to fly in all directions, which eventually formed clouds of dust, which gas that eventually formed stars. These like nebulae is what they're called. Here's the pillars of creation, taken from the Hubble, also known as the Eagle Nebula. These are called star nurseries because they form stars. And these stars have a very intricate process that goes on inside of them. It's what gives them their look. Rigel, the star here, as you can see, that's not fire you see around it. It is actually the energy of nuclear fusion. Well, what is nuclear fusion? Well, nuclear fusion is a process of tritium and deuterium, H3 and H2, fusing to form helium-4. Well, this pushes against the force of gravity. Well, what happens when the energy from fusion runs out and gravity overcomes? Well, it's supernovas, as you can see here. This is a nebula, I believe it's the Crab Nebula, is formed from the supernova of a star, which can be light years across. Also, there is a large amount of dust and waste. Basically, the corpse of the star is left. All these elements are left around the orbit of the star. Now, what do these particles and dust do? Well, we first thought they would just float freely. Well, we were wrong. When we took a bunch of salt into space, we discovered that they clump together through the force of gravity, which is very interesting. It strongly supports the hypothesis on how planets are formed, from tiny particles forming into rocks-sized particles to boulders, mountains, dwarf planets, eventually into planets like this, which of course this is just an artist's rendition. It's very hot, very covered in magma. Well, it also has volcanoes. Well, what can volcanoes do for life? Well, as we know, volcanoes release gases such as methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, H2O, just stuff like that. And these gases condense to form seas. As you can see here, they form seas. Now, just let you read this photo of it, and this is a photo of what they call a time capsule sea, where it appears to be very similar to primordial Earth, and UV rays collide with the seas as long as lightning to give energy to the ocean, which in form creates amino acids like fatty acids, glycerol, and monosaccharides, simple organic molecules. Well, how do we know that it is able to do this? How are we able to know that that happened? Well, we've done it before with the Miller-Urey experiment. It is a contraption that allowed us to mimic primordial Earth and its gases and the oceans of its time. As you can see where it says at the top, electrodes discharge sparks. Or electrodes, which is a lightning simulation. Then dehydration reaction occurs, causing cell precursors known as probionts form from organic molecules. Then heterotrophic prokaryotes appeared with the first cells existing as anaerobes. After build-up of CO2 from anaerobic respiration sets up the processes of photosynthesis. I'm sure you all know photosynthesis is just basic biology here, the way plants get energy, the way they're able to live. And then autotrophic prokaryotes, which is the process of them making their own food, appeared when mutant heterotrophs gained the ability to produce its own food, photosynthesis, which in turn create the O2 and ozone layer that we require to live. We can view this, we've seen it before as plants release oxygen. Then these symbiotic relationships of prokaryotes led to the creation of eukaryotes, which is the cells that make us up, or complex organisms. This is called endosymbiotic theory. And after this was natural selection, which is a few photos here. As you can see now, is the process of the green beetles being chosen over the brown, leaving only the brown after a while. And through processes like this, we can see, here's a little joke comment, through natural selection we have evolved to the life that we see today, of all the species, of all the plants, animals, everything we see is products of evolution and natural selection. Anyways, I hope this helped you understand where we came from. Here's a quote by Carl Sagan. I'm a high school student, yes, but that does not prevent me from being able to read and understand science. Thank you, and have a great day.